Medication errors and risk reduction. This is week 16 of pharmacology in nursing. For your learning outcomes, we should define medication error, identify factors that contribute to medication errors, explain the impact of medication errors on patients and healthcare agencies. Also describe the methods for reporting and documenting medication errors. Describe strategies that the nurse can implement to reduce medication errors and incidents. Explain how effective medication reconciliation can reduce medication errors. Identify patient teaching information that can be used to reduce medication errors and incidents. Also, explain strategies used by healthcare organizations to reduce the number of medication errors and incidents, and identify governmental and national agencies that track medication errors and incidents and provide information to healthcare providers. In clinical practice, the nurse maximizes patient safety by striving to be 100% accurate when administering medications. Drug administration, however, requires multiple complex steps by healthcare providers, pharmacists, nurses, and patients, and can never be 100% error-free. Occasionally, medication errors are made that can significantly affect treatment outcomes. Now, the purpose of this lesson is to examine the reasons for medication errors and explore strategies the nurse may use to prevent them. Now, definition of medication errors. According to the National Coordinating Council for Medication Error Reporting and Prevention, a medication error is any preventable event that may cause or lead to inappropriate medication use or patient harm while the medication is in the control of the healthcare professional, patient, or consumer. NCCMERP also classifies medication errors and has developed the Medication Error Index. This index categorizes medication errors by evaluating the extent of the harm an error can cause. Stated simply, a medication error is any error that occurs in the medication administration process whether or not it harms the patient. These errors may be related to misinterpretations, miscalculations, misadministrations, handwriting misinterpretation, and understanding of verbal or phone orders, which is why here in the Philippines, we do not take phone orders from doctors, even simply verbal orders from the doctors in and before administering specific types of medications. We make sure that the doctors would write first the medications clearly in the doctor's orders before we do and administer the ordered medications, even though the situation is in an emergency situation. That is to make sure that the patients are delivered with proper types of medications, and also to make sure that the patients are receiving ample amount of medications at all times. Factors contributing to medication errors. To be successful, Proper medication administration involves a partnership between the healthcare provider and the patient. This relationship is dependent on the competence of the healthcare provider as well as the patient's full adherence with the drug therapy regimen. This dual responsibility provides a simple, though useful way to conceptualize medication errors as resulting from healthcare provider error or patient error. Clearly, the purpose of classifying and studying these errors is not to assess individual blame, but to prevent future errors. Factors contributing to medication errors by healthcare providers include, but are not limited to, the following. First, omitting one of the rights of drug administration. Common error include giving an incorrect dose, not giving an ordered dose, and giving the wrong drug to the patient. Be careful at all times in doing so. Next, failing to perform an agency system check. The pharmacist and nurse must collaborate on checking the accuracy and appropriateness of drug orders prior to administering drugs to a patient. Next, failing to account for patients' variables such as age, body size, and impairment in renal or hepatic function. The nurse should always review recent laboratory data and other information in the patient's chart before administering medications, especially for those drugs that have a narrow margin of safety. Another one, giving medications based on verbal orders or phone orders, which may be misinterpreted or go undocumented. The nurse should remind the prescriber that medication orders must be in writing before the drug can be administered. In doing so, we as nurses are making sure that the patients are receiving the right dose, the right drug, and the right form of medication so as to make the patient become better. Maybe not immediately heal, but to feel much more better as compared to before. Giving medications based on an incomplete order or an illegible order when the nurse is unsure of the correct drug, dosage, or administration method. Incomplete orders should be clarified with the prescriber before the medication is administered. Written orders should avoid certain abbreviations that are frequent sources of medication errors. Next one, practicing under stressful work conditions. Studies have correlated an increased number of errors with the stress level of nurses. Studies have also indicated that the rate of medication errors may increase when individual nurses are assigned to patients who are the most acutely ill. Patients or their home caregivers may also contribute to medication errors by, first, taking drugs prescribed by several practitioners without informing each of their healthcare providers about all prescribed medications. Next, giving their prescriptions filled at more than one pharmacy. Next, not filling or refilling their prescriptions. Next, taking medications incorrectly. And next, taking medications that may have been left over from a previous illness or prescribed for something else. Now, the impact of medication errors. Medication errors are the most common cause of morbidity and preventable death within hospitals. When a medication error occurs, the repercussions can be emotionally devastating for the nurse and extend beyond the particular nurse and patient involved. A medication error can lengthen the patient's stay in the hospital, which increases costs and the time that the patient is separated from his or her family. The nurse or healthcare provider making the medication error may suffer from self-doubt and embarrassment. If a high error rate occurs within a particular unit, the nursing unit may develop a poor reputation within the facility. If frequent medication errors or serious errors are publicized, the reputation of the facility may suffer because it may be perceived as unsafe. Administrative personnel may also be penalized because of errors within the departments or the hospital as a whole. There are no acceptable incidence rates for medication errors. The goal of every healthcare organization should be to improve medication administration systems to prevent harm to patients due to medication errors. All errors, whether or not they harm the patient, should be investigated with the goal of identifying ways to improve the medication administration process to prevent future errors. The investigation should occur in a non-punitive manner that will encourage staff or report errors, thereby building a culture of safety within an organization. Analysis of error patterns can alert nurses and healthcare administrators that a new policy or procedure needs to be implemented to reduce or eliminate medication errors. Reporting and documenting medication errors. When a healthcare provider commits or observes an error, effects can be lasting and widespread. Although some errors go unreported, it is always the nurse's legal and ethical responsibility to report all occurrences. In severe cases, adverse reactions caused by medication errors may require the initiation of life-saving interventions for the patient. After such an incident, the patient may require follow-up supervision and medical treatments. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, has coordinated the reporting of medication errors at the federal level. The FDA Safety Information and Adverse Event Reporting Program, known as MedWatch, provides important and timely clinical information about safety issues involving medical products, including prescription and over-the-counter drugs, biologics, medical and radiation-emitting devices, and special nutritional products. The FDA encourages nurses and other healthcare providers to report medication errors for its database, which is used to assist other professionals in avoiding similar mistakes. Medication errors or situations that can lead to errors may be reported anonymously directly to the FDA by telephone or online. A second organization that has been established to provide assistance with medication errors is the NCCMERP. The mission of NCC MERP is to maximize the safe use of medications and to increase awareness of medication errors through open communication, increased reporting, and promotion of medication error prevention strategies. In recent years, this organization has compiled recommendations for using barcode labels, barcode labels on medications, reducing medication errors in non-health settings, avoiding medication errors with drug samples, and promoting the safe use of suffixes in prescription drug names. Documenting in the patient's medical records. All facilities should have clear policies and procedures that provide guidance on reporting medication errors. Documentation of the error should occur in a factual manner. The nurse should avoid blaming or making judgments. Documentation does not simply record that a medical error occurred. Documentation in the medical record must include specific nursing interventions that were implemented following the error to protect patient safety, such as monitoring vital signs and assessing the patients for possible complications. Failure to report nursing actions implies either negligence, example, no interventions were taken, or lack of acknowledgement that the incident occurred. The nurse should also document all individuals who are notified of the error. The Medication Administration Record, MAR, is another source that should contain information about what medication was given or omitted. Reporting the error. In addition to documenting in the patient's medical record, the nurse making or observing the medication error should complete a written report of the error. Depending on the healthcare agency, these reports may be called incident reports, occurrence reports, or similar titles. The specific details of the error should be recorded in a factual and objective manner. The report allows the nurse an opportunity to identify factors that contribute to the medication error and assists in identifying any specific performance improvement strategies that may need to be implemented. The written report is not included in the patient's medical record but is used by the agency's risk management personnel for quality improvement and assurance and may be used by nursing administration and education to identify common error occurrences and the need for performance improvement or educational intervention. Accurate documentation in the medical record and in the error report is essential for legal reasons. These documents verify that the patient's safety was protected and served as a tool to improve medication administration process. Legal issues may worsen if there is an attempt to hide a mistake or delay corrective action, or if the nurse forgets to document interventions in the patient's chart. Sentinel events. The Joint Commission, which accredits healthcare agencies, recognizes a particular form of event termed sentinel events. Sentinel events are defined as unexpected occurrences involving death or serious physical or psychological injury or risk thereof. The Joint Commission. Now, not all errors are sentinel events, and not all sentinels or sentinel events occur because of an error. But because of the grave nature of the event, sentinel events are always investigated and interventions put in place to ensure that the event does not recur. Root cause analysis is used to identify the cause and required interventions to prevent a recurrence. Strategies for reducing medication errors. The most frequent type of drug errors vary depending on specific population. Example, pediatrics versus geriatrics, or healthcare unit. Example, intensive care versus long-term care. The most common types of errors usually involve administering an improper dose, giving the wrong drug, and using the wrong route of administration. There is an increased risk for errors in the elderly population because they often take numerous medications, have multiple healthcare providers, and are experiencing normal age-related changes in physiology. Children are another vulnerable population because they receive medication dosages based on weight, which increases the possibility of dosage miscalculations. And the therapeutic dosages are much smaller. What can the nurse do in the clinical setting to avoid medication error and promote safe administration? The nurse can begin by following the steps of the nursing process. Number 1. Assessment. Ask the patient about allergies to food or medications, current health concerns, and the use of over-the-counter medications and herbal supplements. For all medications taken prior to assessment, ensure that the patient has been receiving the right dose at the right time and by the right route. Assess kidney, liver, and other body system functions to determine if impairments are present that could affect pharmacotherapy. Number 2 is planning. Minimize factors that contribute to medication errors. Avoid using abbreviations that can be misunderstood. Question unclear orders. Do not accept verbal orders and follow specific facility policies and procedures related to medication administration. Ask the patient to demonstrate an understanding of the goals of therapy. Number 3, implementation. Eliminate potential distractions during medication administration that could result in an error. Noise, other events, and talking to co-workers can distract the nurse's attention and result in a medication error. Practice the rights of medication administration, the right patient, the right time and frequency of administration, right dose, right route of administration, and right drug. Keep the following steps in mind as well. First, positively verify the identity of each patient using two means, for example, name and date of birth. Before administering the medication according to facility policy and procedures. Next, use the correct procedures and techniques for all routes of administration. Use sterile materials and aseptic techniques when administering parenteral or eye medication. Next, calculate medication doses correctly and measure liquid drugs carefully. When giving medications that have a narrow safety margin, ask a colleague or a pharmacist to check the calculations to make certain the dosage is correct. Double-check all pediatric calculations prior to administration. Selected drugs that have a narrow safety margin are important to be noted of and identified properly. Next, record the medication on the MAR immediately after administration. Next, always confirm that the patient has swallowed the medication. Never leave the medication at the bedside unless there is a specific order that medications may be left there. Next, be alert for long-acting oral dosage forms with indicators such as LA, XL, and XR. Instruct the patient not to crush, chew, or break the medication in half because doing so could cause an overdose. Next, be alert for drugs whose names look alike and sound alike. When the names are written in a hurry or given over the phone, such drugs may be easily mistaken and cause a medication error. A selected list of look-alike and sound-alike drugs can be seen in the table, such as mifepristone and misoprostol. You also have Miralax and Mirapex, oxycodone and oxycontin, Paxil and Taxol, Paxil and Plavix, Prilosec and Prozac, and the others. Evaluation. Assess the patient for expected outcomes and determine if any adverse effects have occurred. The nurse must be vigilant in keeping up to date on pharmacotherapeutics and should never administer a medication until the nurse is familiar with its use and side effects. There are many venues by which the nurse can obtain medication knowledge. Each nursing unit should have a current drug reference available. The nurse can also call the pharmacy to obtain information about the drug or, if possible, look it up on the internet using reliable sources. Many nurses are now relying on personal digital assistants or smartphones to provide current information. These devices can be updated daily or weekly by downloading information so that the information is current with research on preventing medical errors to maintain evidence-based practice skills. Medication reconciliation. Many geriatric patients have several chronic medical disorders, each of which may be treated by individual specialists. It is common for these patients to receive multiple prescriptions, sometimes for the same condition, that have conflicting pharmacologic actions, a condition termed polypharmacy. Although not unique to older adults, polypharmacy is most often seen in this age group. Keeping track of multiple medications, their doses,
indications, routes, and frequency of administration is a major challenge for both patients and healthcare providers. Failure to properly record medication information and to communicate that information to healthcare providers is a potential cause of medication errors. Medication reconciliation is the process of keeping track of a patient's medication as the patients proceed from one healthcare provider to another. Reconciliation accurately lists all medications a patient is taking in an attempt to reduce duplication, omissions, dosing errors, or drug interactions. For example, when a patient is admitted to care, the nurse records all medications the patient has been taking at home, including the patient's dose, route, and frequency. This list is checked against admission orders and is transferred to another practitioner whenever the patient is moved to a different unit within the hospital. It is also checked at discharge. These interferences of care are the most likely places that medication reconciliation errors have been found to occur. In 2004, the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations, JCAHO, identified hundreds of serious medication errors attributed to lack of medication reconciliation and therefore developed recommendations for their prevention. Hospitals are now encouraged to implement a process for documenting a complete list of the patient's current medications upon the patient's admission. Medication should include prescription medications, over-the-counter medications, vitamins, and herbal products. This medication list should be communicated to the next provider of service when a patient is referred or transferred to another setting, service, healthcare provider, or level of care within or outside the organization. On discharge from the facility, the patient should be provided with a complete list of medications to be taken as well as instructions on how to take any newly prescribed medications. Effective patient teaching for medication usage. An essential strategy for avoiding medication errors is to educate the patient by providing written, age-appropriate handouts, audiovisual teaching aids about the medication, and contact information about whom to notify in the event of an adverse reaction. The nurse should be attentive to the patient's ability to understand the materials and to use any equipment such as medication cups appropriately. Having the patient teach back to the nurse to confirm that the patient has understood the content is a strategy that assists the nurse to evaluate the teaching. Now, to minimize the potential for medication errors, the nurse should teach the patient or home caregiver the following. First, know the names of all medications they are taking, the uses, the doses, and when and how they should be taken. Perhaps what side effects uh, to reported immediately should be known. Next, read the label prior to each drug administration and use the medication device that comes with liquid medications rather than household measuring spoons. Next, carry a list of all medications, including over-the-counter drugs, as well as herbal and dietary supplements that are being taken. And if possible, use one pharmacy for all prescriptions. Last, ask questions. Healthcare providers want to be partners in maintaining safe medication principles. How the healthcare industry is reducing medication errors. In recent years, the healthcare industry has implemented widespread changes in the way medications are prescribed and administered. In addition to increasing efficiency and reducing healthcare costs, some of these trends have resulted in a reduction in medication errors due to more accurate prescribing. One such trend is electronic health record or EHRs, which include electronic prescriptions, the transmission of prescription-related information through electronic transmission to a pharmacy or healthcare provider. The number of new e-prescriptions has increased from 55 million to 269 million. Most electronic prescription systems check any new modifications against current medications to assist the healthcare provider in identifying and preventing potential drug-to-drug interactions. Electronic prescribing also helps reduce the risk of medication error due to poorly written or misinterpreted handwritten disorders or orders. A second important trend in the healthcare agencies is the implementation of barcode-assisted medication administration. BCMA is a technology used to verify and document medication administration at the point of care, usually the patient's bedside. When the nurse scans the barcode on the patient's wristband, the patient's electronic MAR opens on a bedside computer. The nurse can determine the medication and dose to be administered. Once the barcode on the medication unit dose package is scanned and matches the patient record, the dose may be administered. An electronic alert is issued if the wrong medication is scanned or if it is the wrong dose or at an incorrect time of day. Studies have indicated that this technology has reduced multiple types of medication errors. Larger healthcare agencies often have risk management departments to examine risks and minimize the number of medication errors. Risk management personnel investigate incidents, track data, identify problems, and provide recommendations for improvement. Nurses collaborate with the risk management committees to seek means of reducing medication errors by modifying policies and procedures within the institution. Through data collection, specific solutions can be created to reduce the number of medication errors. Root cause analysis or RCAs is being implemented in many healthcare organizations as a method to prevent future mistakes. By answering three basic questions: what happened, why did it happen, and what can be done to prevent it from happening again, RCA seeks to prevent another occurrence. Many agencies also continue RCA with the question, has the risk of recurrence actually been reduced by analyzing the post-occurrence? The overall goal of reporting medication errors and conducting follow-up assessments such as RCA is safe and effective patient care and patient medication administration. Governmental and other agencies that track medication errors. Both government and private agencies track medication errors and provide updated reporting for consumers and healthcare providers. The FDA's Safety Information and Adverse Event Reporting Program is MedWatch. Its toll-free number is 1-800-332-1088 and its website is www.fda.gov/medwatch/how.htm. The Institute for Safe Medication Practices, ISMP, accepts reports from consumers and healthcare professionals related to medication safety. It publishes Safe Medicine, a consumer newsletter about medication errors. MedMarks is the U.S. Pharmacopoeia's anonymous medication error reporting program used by hospitals. Medication therapy's primary goal is to achieve defined therapeutic outcome that improves patients' quality of life as well as minimizing and managing risk related to drug administration. So we have your institutional policies and guidelines on safe drug administration. Healthcare facilities must prevent errors perceived and unperceived by institutionalizing policies, guidelines, and protocols for safe medication practices based on the recommendation and standard of government and other nursing professional organizations. The purpose of such guidelines will provide practical recommendation and strict protocols to prevent and mitigate medication errors that can inflict harm to patient, compromising safety and overall health status. It must be clear that aside from existing recommended policies and guidelines from different professional nursing organizations and government regulating bodies, each healthcare institution should adapt and implement suited and tailored fit policies and guidelines to the needs for the organization. The Institute for Quality and Safety Education for Nurses provides competencies to help guide nurses in safety and comprehensive care. So our title for today is Quality and Safety Education for Nurses. The focus of the competencies is on nurses' education, practice, and scholarship to help improve the quality and safety of the healthcare system in which nurses work. The competencies are as follows: patient and family-centered care, respecting the patient's rights. Next, collaboration and teamwork. We have interprofessional teams working together. Evidence-based practice or safe delivery of care based on current research. Quality improvement or improving a patient's delivery of care, safety, and informatics. Now, they represent 6 focus areas where quality and safety standards should be practiced. The competencies are vital to safe medication administration in nursing. The 6 rights of medication administration are important goals for medication safety. The nurse following these guidelines will verify the following: the right patient, the right drug, the right dose, the right route, the right time, the right documentation. The original 6 rights have included subsequent additions throughout the years in an attempt to maintain safety. Evaluation and right to refuse, right assessment. All interventions are designed to ensure safe medication practices. It is important to remember that the nurse collaborates with other healthcare providers, especially the physician, to provide safe medication administration, and it's the nurses who relays the patient's response to the entire healthcare team. Now, the right patient. The right patient determination is essential. The Joint Commission requires at least 2 forms of identification before drug administration. First, ask the patient to state their full name and birth date, and compare these with the patient's identification band and the medication administration record. Many facilities have electronic health records that allow the nurse to directly scan the barcode from the patient's ID band. Once the band is scanned, the patient's medication record appears for the nurse to view. Additional nursing implications include the following. Most hospitals have color-coded ID bands that include bands coded for allergy. They do not resuscitate, fall risk, and restricted extremity. Always check facility policies for the use of color-coded bands and their meanings. Next, verify the patient's identification by using 2 methods of identification each time a medication is administered. Next, if the patient is an adult with a cognitive disorder or child, verify the patient's name with a family member. In the event a family member is unavailable and the patient is unable to self-identify, follow the facility's policy. Many facilities have policies that include a photo ID on the band with the patient's name on the band with the patient's name and birth date affixed to the band. Distinguishing between two patients with the same first or last name by placing name alert as stickers as warnings on the medical record. The nurse must accurately determine the right drug before administration. When working with an EHR, after scanning the wristband, the patient's drug profile appears on the computer screen. The nurse's next step is to scan the medication label, and it will automatically validate time, date, and nurse administering the patient's medication. If it is not the correct medication, the nurse will receive an alert and will be unable to proceed in the MAR until the correct medication is scanned. Both federal and state legislation governs who may write a prescription order. Medication orders are prescribed by a licensed healthcare provider under the authority from the state to prescribe drugs. The disciplines that the prescription authority of that have prescriptive authority are the medical doctors, the dentists, the podiatrists, certified nurse practitioner, advanced practice registered nurse, physician assistant, veterinarian, chiropractor, and optometrist. In addition, medical clinical psychiatrists and pharmacists have prescriptive authority with strict guidelines set by the state. Prescriptions may be handwritten by the healthcare provider, delivered as a telephone order or verbal order, or directly entered into the patient's EHR. Handwritten prescriptions are written on a provider's legal prescription pad and are filled by a pharmacist. Sometimes providers order medications by directly speaking to the nurse. All telephone orders or verbal orders for medications are either handwritten by the nurse taking the order or entered directly into the computer and read back to ensure accuracy. The nurse will write the name of the prescribing provider and add a notation that the order was verified. The order will be completed when the doctor affixes their signature onto the order. After dictating a verbal order, the provider must sign it within 24 hours. If the order is a controlled medication, most facilities require 2 licensed nurses to listen to the order and sign it. Nursing students are not allowed to accept or take provider orders, but they may administer the medication after a registered nurse has verified it. Many hospitals are implementing computerized physician order entry systems to handle healthcare provider medication orders. This method of ordering medications can help decrease drug errors by decreasing transcription errors. Healthcare providers using a CPOE will directly input the prescriptions into the patient's EHR. The order is electronically signed by the healthcare provider and is sent directly to the pharmacy, and it is recorded as part of the patient's MAR. A strong safety feature is the ability to identify drug interactions with the patient's current drugs and any newly prescribed medications. The use of computerized order system has added speed and a measure of safety to the ordering process. Orders can be written from virtually any location and sent electronically. But the computer will not process the order until all necessary information is provided. Because the order is computerized, illegible orders or signatures are prevented. Before the nurse can administer the medication, both pharmacy and the nurse must validate the accuracy of the patient's prescription order in the electronic health record. The components of a drug order are as follows, as seen here in the figure. Patient's name and birth date, date the order is written, provider signature or name if an electronic order uh, is given, signature of licensed staff who took the order through telephone or verbal if applicable, healthcare providers who wish to prescribe controlled drugs must register with the U.S. Federal Drug Enforcement Agency. When prescribing controlled substances, the healthcare provider's DEA number must be on the prescription. So we have the drug name and strength, drug frequency or dose, example, once daily, route of administration, duration of administration, example, 7 days, 3 doses when applicable. Next, the number of patients refills, number of pills to be dispensed, any special instruction for withholding or adjusting dosage based on nursing assessment, drug effectiveness, or laboratory results. It is the nurse's responsibility to administer the drug as ordered by the provider. If the drug order is incomplete, the drug should not be administered. Verification of a questionable order must be done in a timely manner. The healthcare provider is usually contacted and the conversation is documented. Nurses must become familiar with the components of a drug order and question any incomplete or unclear orders. Nurses are legally liable if they give a prescribed drug and the dosage is incorrect, or if the drug is contraindicated for the patient's health status. Once the drug has been administered, the nurse becomes liable for the predicted effects of that drug. Medication administration is never considered just a process of passing drugs. Nurses must use critical thinking skills and assess whether the medication is correct for the patient's diagnosis. The nurse must ask critical questions. Is the dose appropriate? What is the patient's expected response? Also, the nurse must teach the patient about the drug's side effects and when it is necessary for the patient to notify the healthcare provider. To avoid drug errors, the drug label should be read 3 times. When the nurse picks up the drug and removes it from the automatic dispensing cabinet, as the nurse prepared the drug for administration, and when the nurse administers the drug. Nursing interventions related to drug orders can measure correct administration of medication. The nurse should verify the identity of the patient by comparing the name on the wristband and the name on the MAR for accuracy. Always use 2 patient identifiers, such as having patients repeat their name and date of birth. The nurse must become familiar with the patient's health history and always perform a head-to-toe assessment on the patient, including a complete set of vital signs. Next, always review the patient's laboratory work before the administration of drugs. Next, uh, read the drug order carefully. If the order is unclear, verify it with the healthcare provider before administering the drug. Next, know the patient's allergies. Next, know the reason why the patient is to receive the medication. Check the drug label by identifying the drug name, the amount of the drug, whether tablet or volume, and its suitability for administration and or by the intended route. Check dosage calculations, know the date the medication was ordered and ending date. Some agencies have automatic stop orders that are generally facility specific. Examples of such order include controlled drugs that need to be renewed every 48 hours. Antibiotics usually renewed every 7 to 14 days, and cancellation of all medications when the patient goes to surgery. Lastly, all orders, including first dose, one-time, and as-needed medication orders, should be checked against the original orders. The right dose. The right dose refers to the verification by the nurse that the dose administered is the amount ordered and that it is safe for the patient for whom it is prescribed. The right dose is based on the patient's physical status. Many medications require the patient's weight to determine the right dose. Usually, pediatrics, medical surgical, and electronic care situations require weight to complete the drug calculation and determine the correct dose. Sample heparin and digoxin drips are examples of medications calculated according to weight. The nurse determines whether the drug is safe to administer according to the drug's pharmacodynamics and the patient's vital signs. Before administration, it is important that the nurse carefully review the patient's current laboratory results. A chemistry panel includes renal and liver function and sodium and potassium levels. Renal and hepatic functions are important consideration because many drugs are cleared through the kidneys and metabolized by the liver. Also, the nurse should review the hematology laboratory reports, which include a complete blood count, red blood cells, hemoglobin, hematocrit, and platelets. It is most important that the nurse check the drug's correct dose range in a reliable drug source book or by consulting with a pharmacist. In most cases, the right dose for a specific patient is within the recommended range for the drug. Always recheck the dose or recheck the drug calculation, especially if the dose is within a fraction or an extremely large dose. Consultant or consult another nurse or the consultant or the pharmacist when in doubt. Today, Most drugs are dispensed through the automated dispensing cabinets, which are computerized drug storage cabinets that store and dispense medication near the point of care while controlling and taking drug distribution. The patient's drugs are stocked in the cabinet by the pharmacist and are accessed under the patient's name. The nurse can select and pull the patient's drug from the cabinet. This technology improves the patient care by promoting accurate and quick access to medications, locked storage for all medication, and electronic tracking for controlled substances. Automation of drug administration saves time and decreases costs associated with drug administration. Another method of dispensing drug is the unit dosage or unit dose method, in which drugs are individually wrapped and labeled for single dose used for each patient. The unit dose method has reduced dosage errors because no calculations are required. Some facilities still have a multi-dose vial from the ADC. If this occurs, the nurse must complete a calculation to retrieve the correct amount ordered by the physician from the vial. If there is any medication left in the vial, it is disposed of according to the facility's policy for disposal of drugs. Long-term care, daycare, and assisted living facilities use punch cards to organize medications. This special packaging is obtained from the facility's pharmacy. The pharmacy sends a 30-day supply of medication for each prescription in a punch card, and the nurse administers the medication from the card. An important nursing intervention related to the right dose includes calculating the drug dose correctly. If in doubt about the amount to be administered, consult with a nurse peer to validate the correct amount. In some settings, 2 registered nurses are required to check the dosage for certain medications such as insulin and heparin. The right time. The right time refers to the time the prescribed dose is ordered for administration. Daily drug dosages are given at specified intervals, such as twice a day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, or every 6 hours. This is so the plasma level of the drug is maintained at a therapeutic level. Every drug cannot be given exactly when ordered. Therefore, healthcare agencies have policies that specify a range of times within which drugs can be administered. When a drug has a long half-life, it is usually given once a day. Drugs with a short half-life are given several times a day at specified intervals. Some drugs are given before meals, whereas others must be given with meals. Now, the use of military time, which is based on a 24-hour clock, reduces administration errors and decreases administration or documentation Many nursing facilities use military time rather than standard time. Nursing interventions related to the right time included the following: administer drugs at specified time, refer to agency policy. Now, administer drugs that are affected by blood, such as tetracycline, 1 hour before or 2 hours before meals. Next, you have giving of drugs that can irritate the stomach, for example, potassium and aspirin. Some medications are absorbed better after eating. Adjust the medication schedule to fit the patient's lifestyle advantages, tolerance, or preferred as much as possible. Check whether the patient is scheduled for any diagnostic procedure that contraindicate the administration of medication, such as endoscopy or fasting blood sugar test. Determine whether the medication should be given before or after the test based on the policy. Check the expiration date. If the date has passed, discard the medication or return it to the pharmacy depending on the policy. Administer antibiotics at even intervals throughout the 24-hour period to maintain therapeutic blood levels. Patients who require dialysis usually have blood pressure medications stopped before dialysis because dialysis can decrease blood pressure. However, some doctors order the medication to be given before dialysis. If any questions arise, check with the HCP before proceeding. Right route. The right route is necessary for adequate or appropriate absorption. The right route is ordered by the healthcare provider and indicates the mechanism by which medication enters the body. The more common route of absorption includes the following: oral, or drug in the form of a liquid elixir or suspension, pill, tablet or capsule, sublingual, under the tongue, or venous absorption, buccal, between the cheek and the gum, feeding tube, enteral, topical, applied to the skin, inhalation, otic, ophthalmic, nasal, could be spray or instillation, suppository again, and through the parental routes, intradermal, subcutaneous, intramuscular, or intravenous. The nursing interventions related to the right route include the following. Number 1, assess the patient's ability to swallow before administering oral medications. Ensure the patient does not have an order requiring nothing by OREM or by mouth. Do not crush or mix medications in other substances without consulting a pharmacist or a reliable drug reference. Do not mix medications in an infant's formula feeding. If the medication must be mixed with another substance, explain this to the patient. For example, elderly patients may use applesauce or yogurt to mix their medication to make them easier to swallow. Medication should be administered one at a time in the substance. Best practice guidelines and TJC state that drugs must be identifiable up until the point of delivery. When administering many drugs at one time, it is not recommended to mix drugs together. The correct practice is to administer one pill at a time. When a patient has an enteral tubing, it is important to follow these guidelines. This allows the nurse to flush the tube before and after each pill or liquid is administered to prevent the tube from clogging. In the event that patient's drug inadvertently falls to the ground, the nurse will be able to identify, discard, and replace the pill. Next, instruct the patient that medication must be swallowed with water. Juice can interfere with the absorption of certain medications. However, it is recommended that iron be taken with orange juice or vitamin C supplements to aid in its absorption. Use aseptic technique when administering drugs. Sterile technique is required with the parenteral routes. Administer drugs at the appropriate site for the route. Stay with the patient until oral drugs have been swallowed. Do not forget that so as to ensure that the patient is able to take the medications as ordered. Right documentation. The right documentation requires the nurse to immediately record the appropriate information about the drugs or the drug administered. Many systems are available for documenting drug administration. Both paper and computerized MAR systems include information about the drug to be administered, including 1. The name of the drug, 2. The dose, 3. The route, 4. The time and date, and 5. The nurse's initials or signature. One of the oldest documentation methods is the paper MAR. This method is usually found in clinics, nursing homes, and assisted living facilities. The MAR furnishes a written MAR record, or the pharmacy furnishes a written MAR record. Using this method, the nurse initials next to the patient's name and drug, verifying administration of the drug. Most large facilities have computerized charting in which the nurse enters a personal identification and password to enter the system. By scanning the patient's identification band, which includes the patient's barcode information, the nurse accesses the patient's personal MAR within the EHR system.
Once the nurse scans the barcode on the patient's medication package, the administration is validated in the computerized MAR. The computerized system interferes with other departments including pharmacy, or the computerized system interfaces with other departments including the pharmacy, laboratory, and sometimes the physician's office. Documentation of the patient's response to the medication is required with a variety of medications such as opioid and non-opioid analgesics, or how effective was pain relief. Number 2, sedatives, how effective was relaxation. And 3, antiemetics, was nausea and vomiting decreased or eliminated. The nurse continues to assess and evaluate the patient's response to the medication. For example, is there any gastrointestinal upset or skin sensitivity? All information obtained is documented into the patient's medical record. Keep in mind that the patient responses are not necessarily verbal. They may be physiologic, such as blood pressure decreasing in response to an antihypertensive. Delay in scanning or charting may result in forgetting to chart the medication, and another nurse can inadvertently re-administer the drug, assuming it was not given because it was not charted. Therefore, it is important to remember that drugs must be charted when the drug is administered. Graphic formats or computerized systems assist in the accurate and timely recording of drugs administered. The American Nurses Association published a Bill of Rights for nurses containing 7 premises concerning workplace expectation and environments that nurses from across the United States recognize as necessary for safe nursing practice. The Bill of Rights supports nurses in workplace situations and includes issues such as unsafe staffing, mandatory overtime, and health and safety issues in the workplace. These issues are essential to meet the responsibilities of patient care, including safe drug administration, and the responsibility nurses have to themselves. Facilities have an obligation to both nurses and patients to educate and provide guidelines and policies concerning patient safety in all aspects of patient care. Many disciplines are involved in medication administration, and the different departments must work together to provide a method of drug delivery and administration in a safe environment for the patient and the nurse. This can be done by having modern equipment, staff education opportunities, policies and procedures, and communication among the different departments involved in drug administration. Now, the following are safe drug administration per institution. In different places in the world, there are many types of rights of safe drug administration. In the Philippines, we have 10, such as the right drug, the right patient, the right dosage, the right route, the right time and frequency, right documentation, right history and assessment, drug approach and right to refuse, right drug interaction and evaluation,
right, education and information. Association of Nursing Service Administrators of the Philippines. We have 10 golden rules for administering drug safety. Again, we have all of these 10 rights. For your medication error, any preventable event that may cause or lead to inappropriate medication use or patient harm while the medication is in the control of the healthcare professional, patient, or consumer is considered as a medical error. Such events may be related to professional practice, healthcare products, procedures, and systems, including prescribing, order, communication, product labeling, packaging and nomenclature, compounding, dispensing, distribution, administration, education, monitoring, and use. Some of the factors associated with medication errors include the following: medications with similar names or similar packaging, medications that are not commonly used or prescribed, commonly used medications to which many patients are allergic, such as antibiotics, opiates, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Medications that require testing to ensure proper, uh, such as non-toxic, therapeutic levels are maintained, such as lithium, warfarin, theophylline, and digoxin. In an article published online by Salmasi et al. Entitled Medication Errors in the Southeast Asian Countries, a systematic review studied data from Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Identified medications related inaccuracies that includes error in administration, prescribing, preparation, dispensing, and transcribing. Locally, the journal entitled Contributing Factors to Medication Errors as Perceived by Nursing Students in Iligan City, Philippines by Apsai et al. Conclude that knowledge deficit, belittling ways of clinical instructors, fear of holding syringes and giving medications, and an unavoidable working environment are among the identified contributing factors to medication errors. This further supports the importance of placing institutional policies and guidelines to avoid such errors and initiate safe drug administration to the patient. A just and safe culture. The National Coordinating Council for Medication Error Reporting defines medication error as any preventable event that may cause or lead to inappropriate medication use or harm to a patient while the medication is in the control of the healthcare professional. Much progress has been made concerning the area of patient safety to embrace change in the medical culture, so reporting of errors does not result in personal blame but a failure of the system. The landmark decision of the National Academy for Medicine, previously known as the Institute of Medicine, report "To Err is Human, Building a Safer Health Care System," has certainly affected a positive change in the development of a culture of safety. The report serves as a basis for creating an awareness of patient safety system in healthcare and has led to the development of safety tools instrumental in decreasing the number of drug errors. Over the past 18 years, drug administration and the margin of error have shown some improvements with the development of barcoding, CPOE systems, EHRs, and ADCs. However, there is still much work ahead. The ANA's position statement titled Just Culture encourages individuals to report drug errors so the system can be repaired and the problems fixed. Just Culture does not hold individual practitioners responsible for a failing system, although it does not tolerate disregard for a patient or gross misconduct. In a true culture of safety, everyone in the organization is committed and driven to keep patients safe from harm. Risk management is a process that identifies weakness in the system. It then allows changes to be made to minimize the effects of adverse patient outcomes. Most organizations have a risk management department staffed with nurse managers and risk managers who conduct root cause analysis, or RCA. A method of problem solving used to identify potential workplace errors. Such analysis presents opportunities for learning and focuses on strategies that can be put in place to correct problems. Drug administration is a vulnerable area where the possibility for error is high. If a patient is injured or dies as the result of a drug error, a sentinel event occurs. This is an anticipated event in a healthcare setting that results in death or serious harm to a patient related to the natural course of the patient's illness. TJC tracks sentinel events in a database to ensure that they are adequately analyzed and that unsafe processes are caught and resolved. The most common occurrence of sentinel event is medication errors, and of those, the most frequently completed or implicated drug was potassium chloride. Most often, potassium chloride was mistaken for sodium chloride, heparin, or furosemide. Now, here are the following safety considerations. We always plan medication administration to avoid the following disruptions, such as proper dispensing of medication in a quiet area to prevent infection, avoid conversation with others, meaning you are talking while doing something, follow agency's no interruption zone policy. A specific place of preparing medications are present in order to provide for the continuous supply of medication. Prepare medications for one patient at a time. You can make many for one patient, but just make sure the medications are done one person to another. Follow the 7 rights of medication preparation as was explained earlier. Check that the perform hand hygiene. Check room for additional precaution just in case there will be accidents such as slipping or falling. perform hand hygiene, check room for additional precautions, introduce yourself to patients, inform patient ID or confirm patient ID using two patient identifiers such as the name and date of birth, and check against MAR. Check allergy band for any allergies and ask patient about type and severity of reactions. Complete necessary focused assessments, lab values or vital signs, and document on MAR. Provide patient education as necessary. If a patient questions or expresses concern regarding a medication, stop and do not give to the patient. The source for your information is from your book, Pharmacology, a Patient-Centered Nursing Process Approach, 11th edition, and that will be the end of our lesson for drug administration and avoidance of error. Thank you very much, everyone.